Hello, happy people, and good morning. It's not even 7 a.m. where I am. So, what I wanted to talk about today is how to reseal an ink cartridge. I have recently begun refilling cartridges, both for my Lamis, because I hate the Z24 converter, and also for my Allsport, because it pretty much only takes cartridges, and I don't feel like fussing with the converter options, so if I want to do an ink that's not available in a cartridge, I have to refill it. So, what I want to talk about today is how to reseal ink cartridges for travel, right? So if you have an empty cartridge, I know a lot of us refill them using a blunt syringe for whatever reason, you know, there are many reasons and whatever you have is fine. But sometimes, you know, you want to go home for the weekend, or, you know, you have a lot of writing to do at work and you might run through more than one cartridge. And so you want to refill an extra one in the morning and take it with you. How do you do that without making sure that it leaks all over the place? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Pilot cartridges are pretty easy to refill, but these ones require a little bit more work. So what we're going to need is a glue gun. You will need your cartridges, obviously, which I'm assuming you already have. I'm just going to go ahead and pop the cartridges out of the pens that are in here and show you on those, because they're not quite empty yet and I'm not ready to refill them yet. So there's my Lamy, that's filled with Noodler's Kiowa Pecan, and in this guy is a cartridge with J-Herbon, I'm probably going to totally butcher this, Poisse de Lune. I don't speak French, so yeah. If you're refilling your cartridges, which I'm not going to bother to show you, you'll need a blunt tip syringe. I have 3 milliliter syringes that I got super cheap on Amazon. You'll need your empty cartridges and your ink, obviously. So you can go ahead and do that. I'm assuming everyone can figure that out, right? You suck up the ink into the syringe, put it back into the cartridge. So basically, while you're doing that, you want to plug in your hot glue gun so that it can go ahead and start heating. I like to use a low temperature glue gun because that way I don't have to worry about melting the plastic on my cartridges. This one is teeny tiny, it's a little itty bitty guy. I got it at Joann Fabrics, I think, I got this gun and enough glue sticks to go with the gun to last me at least the rest of my life, right? I don't know how I will use that many glue sticks. But this thing and the glue sticks was maybe like 10 bucks total. And now I have a hot glue gun, which I didn't have before. And especially, you know, places like Joann Fabrics and Michael's and Hobby Lobby, they, you know, have coupons all the time. So this is really not an expensive investment. And I think if you are going to be refilling cartridges regularly, it's a good thing to have, you know, a low temperature one. You can use a regular temperature one. You'll just want to be a little bit more careful and kind of give the glue a little bit of time to cool down before you apply it to the top of your cartridge, right? So these cartridges, right, the reason we want to refill them, let me see if I can find where my lens is because, right, they have a big hole at the top, right? So that's the Standard International, same with the Lamy, right? They have a big hole at the top. So the issue is, oh, well, ink will probably leak out of them. To be fair, these have teeny tiny little holes in reality, right? And water has a very high surface tension, and as we know, ink is made out of water. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it, right? You got to really vigorously shake these things to get them to leak. But, you know, if you're maybe changing temperatures or you carry them in your pants pocket, then it becomes an issue. Granted, I don't recommend carrying these cartridges naked, just floating around in your pants pocket. I would definitely recommend having maybe like a mint tin. I use the little itty bitty tiny mini Altoids tins to carry Standard International cartridges, or like J-Herbon cartridges come in these cute little cylindrical tins, which I'm not as crazy about because I feel like the top doesn't stick on as well, but that's just me. Okay, right, so hopefully I've rambled long enough for my glue gun to heat up. So basically what you want to do right after you've put your desired ink in your cartridge and your glue gun has heated up a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a paper towel so that I can clean up any mess that I make. You also want to make sure that you have a workspace where you can make a mess, right? Which I'm assuming you already knew because we're refilling ink cartridges, so that can sometimes get messy. But you will also get glue strings all over the place, right? So as you can see, my glue gun has now started to leak glue out of the tip, which I'm assuming means that it's ready to go. So I'm just going to kind of pull that guy off of there, right? And this is a low temperature glue gun, so it's not like going to get hot enough to like hurt me or anything. Basically, what you want to do is you take your cartridge. Oh, come on, focus. Okay, so you take your cartridge, right, and your glue gun, and you just apply a little blob of glue over the top of your cartridge. Doesn't have to be pretty. Mine usually aren't, right? Ta-da, blob of glue. And then you just set it aside, let it dry, right? And because this is a low temperature glue gun, it should dry pretty quickly. So I'll show that again on the Lamy cartridge. Right, so I have my little Lamy cartridge. Go ahead and apply a little blob of glue. This will take a bigger blob of glue because it's a bigger opening. But that's fine. You just kind of swirl it on there like a little ice cream cone. Get the glue string off. Right, put the glue gun back down safely. And then you can kind of see, if I can get to focus better. You can kind of see the blob of glue sitting on top there. And I'm going to set that down so it can dry. Right, again, back to the Standard International. That's how that guy looks. It's not pretty, but at the same time, you don't want it to be totally pretty because you have to get it off at some point, right? So you want to have some glue sticking up along the top there, right? So so that guy's pretty dry, right? The nice thing about low temperature guns is they dry super fast. And if you're using a low temperature gun, make sure you have a glue meant for a low temperature gun, right? Because not all glues will work in all guns. So then when you say, okay, you know, I'm gonna take this to work with me, so now you run out of ink or something, and you want to go ahead and use this, so you just take it and you get your fingernail underneath that glue. It'll just all come off in one piece, right? So there's my little glue piece. You can then do whatever you want to do with this glue piece, right? You can stick it in your pocket to find it later. You can flick it at someone like it's a little booger. You can throw it in the garbage, which is probably the responsible thing to do, but whatever you want to do, right? So get rid of that little glue piece. Take your cartridge, right? So now it's just the same as any Standard International cartridge you fill at home. Just take it, plop it back in your pen, put your pen back together, and write. And that's it. You know, your glue is not going to get stuck in your ink, right? You're not going to get glue in your ink because it all sits up on top there, right? So again, it's Lamy, right? So this guy is dry now. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in my pen, right? So I just take my fingernail, get it right underneath there, pop that guy right off. You can see there is some ink stuck to the glue, but there's not going to be glue in your ink, if that makes sense. All right, so again, I'm just going to take this guy, put it back in my pen, put my pen back together, and there you go. You're done. That's all there is to it. Like, it seems super complex, and I know people, you know, really, you know, they're like, oh my god, how do I do this? It's super easy. All you need is a low temperature glue gun and a good workspace, and you're good. And you just need to be confident about it, right? If you think you're gonna melt your cartridge or something, just do it. You know, at worst, you've melted a cheap plastic cartridge, and it's not a big deal, right? You just try it again, and you learn. If you're using a regular glue gun, right, if you're not using a low temperature glue gun, right, the glue that comes out of there is a bit hotter. So what I would suggest then, right, so if we look at this guy, right, so what I would suggest is to kind of, you know, squeeze out a little blob from your regular glue gun and let it kind of hang on the tip there for a little bit so it can kind of cool, you know, just kind of, you know, maybe count to 5 or whatever. This stuff cools pretty fast. Let it cool just a little bit, then do the same process, right? Basically, you're just letting it get to the lower temp that my gun extrudes it at. So feel free to try it. You know, try it if you have a regular glue gun and let me know how that works, because I'd be curious because I only have the low temperature one. And yeah, that's it. It's really not that complicated. Let me know if you try this. Let me know if it works for you. Let me know if you have any suggestions on how to make this better, or maybe good suggestions on how to do it with a regular glue gun. And yeah, have a good Thursday, or whatever day it is when you're watching this. And I'll see you guys later.